Hey y'all, it's Shannon again. So the other day I showed you how to use the 7-strand braid star from Squire Country Crafts to make this sweet little braid. And today I'm going to talk about its big sibling, the 16-strand braid star. So with this one, you have 16 slots and 16 strands. And so the way you braid is different, but the braid looks pretty similar, although it is a lot larger. It is more complicated, and you have to pay closer attention, but that's not to say that it is actually difficult, because once you get in the rhythm of it, just like with the 7-strand braid star, you can just kind of bloop, 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 and then you know what you're doing, and you can just keep going and make this beautiful, thicker braid. So what you're going to need are 16 strands of fingering weight yarn, excuse me, and a really easy way to do it is to cut eight strands. They're twice as long as you want, and bend them in half and tie a little knot, and then you've got your knot and your loop and your yarn. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the 7-strand braid star, and we're going to take our knot and push it through the top of the braid star. For all of these, I like to have the knot at about the bottom of the hole, and I hold it with my kind of non-dominant hand. And then, because of the way the braid happens, you don't have to be super careful about not having like colors next to each other if you do decide to double your yarn. But we're going to pull a strand into each of the slots, just like this. When I'm warping the 7-strand braid star, I like to kind of comb my fingers through the yarn as I go. So I'm going to finish this, and then I'll come back and show you how to start braiding. Okay, now that we're all warped, notice that the braid star is not a perfect circle. It is kind of a, I don't know what this is called, like an octagon, I suppose. It's got 8 sides, and there are 2 slots in each side for this braid star. And so we're going to be using those groupings of 2 as we work our braid. So we're going to have, it doesn't matter where you start, but we're going to hold the star so that the flat parts of the octagon are facing us and facing away from us, right? So any way you do it, just so you've got, instead of having the point facing you, you're going to have the flat part facing you. And so we're going to work in groups of 2. And so we're going to take the bottom 2, and one by one we're going to move them over 1 slot to the right. So what that means is that first strand that we moved over is in a slot that's already occupied by a strand of yarn, and that's fine. We're going to move that on top of it. And then we're going to go across the braid star to the top, and we're going to do the same thing to the left with those 2. So we're going to move one over to the left and another one over to the left. So what we have right now is we have 2 open slots, one on the bottom, one on the top, that are kind of diagonal to each other. And then we've got 2 slots that are have 2 strands in them that are also kind of diagonal to each other. So we're going to take the strand that we moved over to the top slot, and we're going to move it down to the bottom, just like that. And then we're going to take the strand that we moved over to the bottom slot, and we're going to move it over to the top. And so you see we've got this kind of almost like you can see the bend right there where they've met and crossed each other, and you're going to see that even better the farther you get into it when you have some of the braid created. And so that is one excuse me, that is one movement of the braid star. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to turn, so we have the next flat part facing us, just one clockwise. We're going to turn it just 1 time, and then we're going to do the same thing over. And this is the simple braid for the 16-strand braid star. And you just keep doing that over and over. until the braid is done. Turn it, move 1, move 2, move 1, move 2, move down, move up, and turn. So this is what you do. If you need to stop, which you probably will, the instructions are numbered, so you just stop before you complete number 3, which is when you're moving your 2 bottom strands around to the right. So we're going to stop right here, and then when you come back to it, you look at the strands that have come from the top and from the bottom, and you can see them right here and right here, and then you just turn it 1 and start working on these 2. So if I set this down and then come back to it, I see that I have just moved this strand from the top down and this strand from the bottom up. You see how they're kind of pulled in a different way than any of the other strands look like they're pulled. And so I don't work on these 2. I turn it 1 time and then I start working these 2. So then I'm gonna do this, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Now conversely, if you don't think you're going to remember that, you can also stop when you are here and you have your open slots and your doubled strands, because then you'll know exactly what you're supposed to do. Boop and boop. So there are 2 places you can stop. In the instructions, it tells you to stop after completing your entire movement, but it might be helpful to stop this way instead, so that you have your 2 strands doubled, and then you know that you're going to be going down and up. So I hope this helped. These are so much fun. We have them at the Craft Emporium shop, and my dad makes them, Squire Country Crafts, and they're beautiful, and they make beautiful braids. And this is just kind of the intro level of what these can do. There are a bunch of other things you can do with them too, but they are great gifts and great things just to while away an afternoon. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.